Hello my friends all over the world, wherever you are. Today I'm making one of my favorite juice formula with French sorrel for one of my greens, and I'm going to add gobo root, also known as burdock root. Let's take a look at the rest of my ingredients. In addition to the French sorrel and the gobo root, I have collard greens and broccoli greens, one medium-sized beet, ginger, garlic, 165 grams of turmeric, and carrots. Before I start making juice, I want to point out that I'm using the front-loading feed tube. I've already plugged in the thermometer, and I want to mention that the front-loading feed tube will never, and I mean never, shoot produce up to your ceiling. Because of the design of the angle, you might get a speck of produce coming out if it's like watermelon or cantaloupe or something soft, but it'll only come out 4 or 5 inches, but never up to your ceiling. So the first thing I'm going to do is add some ice cubes to cool down the cutter and the feed tube. Remember to cover it first because the ice cubes will spit out at you. Rotate the bowl. More collard leaves. Now that's the last of my collard greens and my broccoli greens, so next I'm going to clean the grid and do the rest of my greens, and what I have left in terms of greens is French sorrel. Greens tend to clog your grid really quickly, so it's very important to clean your grid often. So let's start with some French sorrel. Before I finish my French sorrel, I'm going to feed in some turmeric, ginger, and garlic. Turmeric. Garlic. Ginger. And the rest of my turmeric. French sorrel. And I'll switch to carrots. Now after my first carrots, I'm going to clean the grid and then switch to the number 2 grid, which is better for carrots. Now with the number 2 grid here, I'm going to finish doing the carrots. Now because we have a front-loading feed tube, there tends to be some puddling in here when you do greens. It doesn't happen with carrots, but what I'm going to do is feed in some carrots, allow the pulp to come out to absorb this. Carrots. We'll continue with carrots. My last carrot. Now what I love about this front-loading feed tube is you can see in here whether all of your produce is shred or not, and the carrots look a little bit chunky, so I'm going to put some carrots in here, a couple of fingers full of carrot pulp, and force that last produce through. Now the next step is to clean the feed tube, the cutter, the grit holder. We'll put these aside, clean these later. And you notice you put the grit in the palm of your hand like so. And as I said, we'll clean these later. Take out the thermometer. Take any carrot pulp off the cutter. Every juicer sold by Whole Health Foundation comes with this cleaning brush. And you can clean that with a wet sponge, or if you have a spray nozzle like I do, most kitchens do these days, you can clean it like so. A clean brush will clean the feed tube. And the cutter. And there's usually a little plug of produce in the end. You want to get that out. Now, while the cloths that I took out of the freezer are thawing out, I'm going to mix the produce. And we keep the cloths in the freezer because airborne contaminants and other bacteria cannot grow in the freezer. Now that's about enough mixing, so I'm going to use my glove to clean the rim of this bowl, and then we'll pull this mixing tray forward, unfold the cloths, and then we'll start making some juice. Okay, we'll take these 6 cloths, put them toward the front end of the folding tray, pull it forward so the cloths are not hanging down, and we have enough room here for filled cloths of pulp. So we'll put the tray on, get a juice collection bowl. So we'll start with 3 scoops. Fold it into thirds, just like they came in the package. And we're going to press 2 cloths full of pulp at one time because you get better pressure that way. Okay, we'll turn that upside down, flatten it, put 2 cloths in the press. This is very, very important. Check to make sure your juice tray is on the press plate properly, centered left to right, centered front to back, adjust it if need be, all the way back, back it off, and continue. And 3 scoops into each cloth. When you're on your last cloth, advance that all the way. Now here's my 6 cloth, less worked method. This goes forward, that goes over, the spent cloths go on top. 2 more cloths in the press, centered left to right. Check if it's on the tray, centered front to back, adjust if need be, all the way back, back it off a little bit. Now you never throw away the spent pulp. What you're going to do is put 2 scoops, not 3 scoops, on top, and fold it as before, and do as tight package as possible. Later we'll put only 1 scoop because the patty is getting thicker and thicker. Flatten that, set it aside. When you're on your last cloth, open it up, advance that all the way. 2 more scoops on top. Now here's my 6 cloth less work method again. This goes forward, that goes over, the spent cloths go on top. And because we have a full bowl, we're going to fill some bottles before we continue. But to make sure that the tray is not damaged when you set it back, first of all you want to have all the juice drip out, but set it back so it doesn't drip on your countertop, but a lot, not just a little. If you put it back just a little, you'll forget, you'll damage your tray. Put it back a lot, and let's fill some bottles. Leaving about 10% for filtered or distilled water. We use distilled water in our household. Even bottled water would be good. Before we begin, we'll pull this tray forward, make sure it's on the tray properly. Put 2 more full cloths of pulp in the press. Again, centered left to right, centered front to back, adjust if need be, all the way back, back it off. Now these patties are still pretty thin, so I'm going to put 2 scoops on here. And my last cloth, I advance that all the way before I finish folding. And again, my 6 cloth, less work method. This goes forward, this goes over, the spent cloths go on top. 2 more cloths full of pulp in the press. And again, make sure it's on the press plate properly. Centered left to right, front to back, all the way back, back it off a little bit. Now this patty is getting thicker, but I think we can get 1.5 scoops on there this time. Sort of eyeball it. There's 1 full scoop, half a scoop. Flatten that. This goes forward, that goes over. This, whoop. We need to put 2 more cloths in there. Now, to show you how I get 10% more juice, I'm going to repackage this spent pulp. Let me show you how I do that. It's usually wet around the edges, so I'm going to fold the edges into the center. Roll this under. Now as you can see, I've repackaged all my spent pulp. This is pulp that most people would have thrown away. Now you're going to be amazed to see how much more juice we get from this. So what I'm going to do now is press this and use a measuring beaker to measure how much extra juice we get. So let's put 2 in the press. Centered left to right, centered front to back. Very important to center it all the way back, back it off a little. And as soon as I get juice full, I'm going to advance that all the way. Keep your eye on this container because it can overshoot if you're not paying attention. Well, so far, 3 ounces. All right, we got 2 more cloths in there. There we have 10 ounces. Now as you can see, I've repackaged the second time, and so far I've got 13 ounces of juice. And as soon as we have juice full, we'll advance it all the way. And droplets, so we'll put in our last repackaged set of cloths. Now there's 19 ounces and we got droplets. So I'm going to stop the juicer, turn it off, and pour these last juices into the collection bowl. And it's going to overflow, so I'm not going to fill it. We'll fill some bottles now. Now as you can see, we have 11 bottles of juice from this small batch. And now I'm going to fill this container with distilled water and top them off. As I said, we have 11 bottles and I'm topping off that last 10% with distilled water, and now we'll put caps on it. Well, my friends, as you can see, we have 5, 10, 11 bottles of juice and enough for a taste test. And over one of these bottles, approximately 2 bottles, came from pressing the already spent pulp a couple of times more to extract all the juice necessary. And the juice in this last pressing is the most valuable juice. So let's do a taste test. Well, my friends, here we have 11 bottles of my favorite formula with gobo root, otherwise known as burdock root. Let's taste it. Oh, that's delicious. I definitely taste the French sorrel and a little bit of beet. Well, I hope you like what you've seen, my friends, and if you do, please tell a friend. If you'd like to call me to buy a juicer or parts or get advice, my phone number is 760-753-0321. My email address is developtrust@cox.net, and my webpage is wholehealthfound.com. See you in the next video.